because who your grandfather was, and because of you being a black man from the U.S., what do you make of what has been happening the last few years with all the BLM movement and?
I mean, my grandfather went through a lot in his day. I didn't have to experience that. I've experienced being called nigger or growing up in Vegas, but I've never had to experience being hosed down or being put in jail or being beaten or had dogs after you, so, he went through all of that stuff. He had to work hard to get to where he was. He, not only was he a narcotic cop, but then he became district judge. Like he became the judge, and then they built a complex after him. And from him having a stroke, he wanted to make sure that all the cadets, the cops, had a gym. So he was one of the first to make sure that this police station named after him had a proper facility for fitness. Wow. Which I thought was crazy because I'm very into fitness, So he got that, but of course everything comes to there's always going to be racism. There's always going to be racism. It is what it is. As soon as you start to put people in different classes, upper class, middle class, whatever, if we cannot just be one, it's always going to exist.
And it always existed.
It always existed.
Oh yeah, it's always been there around, and it's like it's interesting when people say in Eastern Europe there's no racism, but there's a different type of distinguishing and putting people in certain groups and saying like, oh, those people are from that area of
it's not necessarily race, because in East Europe there's mostly one race, but then it becomes classism and religion and
also working in media. I stopped watching news when I worked for news, because all they showed was stories of violence in the black communities, right? It's like when I grew up in mostly white neighborhoods in Vegas, but when I moved to New York, I was like, I'm going to live in Harlem. Like, I'm going to live in a black neighborhood. I want to be with community, right? Experience that. And it was the best thing that I could have done. But to show people there's bad everywhere, right? But to show that the black community is a certain type of way, and then people have a fear of black communities. I remember when I moved there and I said I live in Harlem to my friends in Vegas, they were like, oh my God, what's that like? I'm like, it's the same. It's a neighborhood. It was the best neighborhood. Talk about comedy. Every day was comedy.
How do I say this? So you like dick.
Love dick.
You love dicks.
So then I went to a country where there was. So look at this. As much as I like dick, listen. As much as I like dick, I go to China where there's no dick.
Exactly.
And then I go to Dubai where you can get arrested for liking dick.
Exactly.
But in China. But let's be honest though. I know it happens with straight black guys. I think it's the same with gay. Is it gay? I don't know.
Yeah.
Gay black guys.
Gay black guys.
Like straight black guys, Asia is heaven for them, because everyone is like, is it true? Is it true? And so all the girls want to have sex with them. Mm-hmm. Is it true also? Was it true also for you in China?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's why you went to China.
Listen,
mystery solved.
But listen, it was a challenge to get, because I'm not into Asian men. I'm not. It wasn't my thing. I'm just not. It's not my thing.
So what's your type, honey?
I like you. You got a nice little thing going. You know what I mean?
I got some.
I'm updated.
I don't know why, but I feel so offended right now.
Oh yeah, man.
You didn't even let me finish. I dated an Italian. I've been.
But he was good looking Italian.
No, but it was great dating. Listen, his name was, I call him Rudy. His nickname was Rudy because his dick was, I called his dick, it looked like a Rudy to me, so I called him Rudy.
What's a Rudy?
What is Rudy?
A name, just a nickname, Rudy.
Okay, the dick looked like a Rudy.
I just said his was cute, it looks like Rudy.
Wait, do you know how my girlfriend called my dick? Neville.
Neville.
Yeah.
No, she should call it Kraken. Release the Kraken.
No, Neville. I don't know. Well, sorry for interrupting.
He just wanted to...
Rudy. I just wanted
So just so you know what this is nickname.
Where does Neville come from?
Harry Potter.
Okay.
Because
It's one of those tiny snakes.
No, because I call her vagina Voldemort. It's true, by the way.
No, y'all need to change those names.
Oh my God,
Because it
Voldemort.
has no nose, you know.
That would be interesting if it would have a nose. Honey, you should stop taking those steroids. You have a tiny penis.
That's a cute name.
One time I saw a girl. Well, okay. Sorry, Rudy. Let's talk about Rudy. Let's not shame girls for the size of her clits.
When you were a kid, wait.
You was finishing.
So I was talking about
Finished.
the when you pop the doors and when you realize how old you were
When you pop the door.
with the kicks.
When you pop your anal door.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. For me, my experience is different than
I'm
some
done.
people. I came out late for what people consider. I came out when I was 30.
Oh, wow.
But when I came out, of course, there were times you have these flashbacks of when you've had experiences. Of course, when I was in high school, I remember being in high school and being attracted to the football player,
right.
you know, or you know, I was on the swim team. So being attracted to, you know, the male body.
But I don't know, maybe it's difficult to recognize because, for example, that you could see it also as, oh, I want to have that body.
Yeah,
Like when I see a beautiful
Exactly.
male
Like,
body, I'm like, fuck, I'd like to have that body.
I mean, that's where it came from. I mean, I've always when I got into swimming, right, and that was the only thing that I was good at because I wasn't good at anything else.
I don't
But
believe you.
I wasn't because I wasn't exposed to balls. My father wasn't around, so I wasn't exposed to football or basketball or anything like that. Swimming just
No,
was something that I
mine was
good
just a racist comment. Sorry.
But yeah, the guys that were like they were like my older brothers. You know, it wasn't anything sexual,
Right.
But they had great bodies. I was 2 years younger than them. I remember one of them who's no longer with us, James. He was a funny comedian guy. He was a super funny guy. Had the nicest body. You know, he was half Japanese, half white, and he was handsome. You know, most of the guys, my brothers, were handsome on the swim team.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, you know, there were times as brothers, right, that we would go on trips to swim meets and we would share the same bed. And I remember feeling nice, like they would, you know, we would cuddle and stuff. I remember how that felt, right? Nothing sexual. No one was turned on. But I remember.
Wait. So you would cuddle, and the guys were fine with cuddle.
Yeah, like
He didn't come out at that time.
we were brothers. So, for example,
No, but do you hear many stories about cuddling other dudes? Like when you go and sleep in the same bed?
but it wasn't like cuddling.
Yeah,
It
I
was
know,
like my brother. Like we would sleep in the same bed. It was like this, my brother. It wasn't like
Yeah,
different
you're
levels
not like
of
big
it.
spoon, small spoon.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Or you done that?
I cuddled.
I just know that back in Latvia, if I would try to cuddle any dude, that would be probably looked funny at.
I'm a
But I mean,
physical
it's-
guy,
it's-
so
it's
like to show affection, both
Yeah,
to guys and girls.
no.
Yeah.
Give a hug and all that stuff, fine. But what I'm saying is like when you're in bed and you just like give a cuddle as like a big spoon, small spoon. I don't.
You freak out.
No, but it wasn't like that. It was like, you know, we were on a team, and it was like the anxiety that some of us had to get sleep because we had competition the next morning. It was like it's going to be okay. It
Okay.
was like that kind of cuddle. It wasn't like anything sexual.
But wait, so you came out of the closet when you were 30.
So
like,
I came out when I was 30, but I was already dipping and doing. I was already
okay,
doing
yeah.
things.
That's what
I
I
was already
mean.
doing
Like,
things.
you came out officially. Unofficially, when did you have your first experience?
So I mean, it always happens in university.
Fair enough.
I must have been like 20. I think I just turned 21.
Well, it's still pretty.
So that was actually when I lost my virginity. I was
Yeah, I
in
was
21 because
21.
my town was just very super Catholic
But it wasn't.
and all that
But
shit.
it wasn't like we just. It was two guys. It was just two of us that got together. We were drinking. We went to this pool. We went to this pool thing, and we hung out in the car. We just were hanging out in the car, and then all of a sudden we just started kissing.
And that was your first kiss.
That was my first.
Oh
kiss.
shit!
Right.
First kiss when you were 21.
First like Mac. Yeah. I mean, I've kissed before. Like I would go to parties at 16 or whatever, and we would get drunk, and I would kiss girls, like
Right.
But an actual like making out session with another.
And did you ever
guy.
had a girlfriend before that? So you
Never
never.
had sex with a girl?
No.
Right. And then afterwards, when you...
So then 23, I met this guy. 23, I'm on my own. I'm in my apartment studio. I met this guy. His name Bobby. And
Shout out to Bobby.
He worked on a cruise ship, right? So I remember seeing him. I was 20. I think I was 22 at the time. But he caught my attention. Of course, he was like at the pool or something in an apartment complex. And then
You're shallow. You only look at the bodies of guys.
But it was
being
everything.
a chubby guy. I feel offended.
No, but of course he was athlete. He was.
What
from a
did
different
Bobby
country.
have that I don't
He
have?
had body.
Many things. He had body.
He had body.
You're not listening, Chris.
So we had an experience on and off.
Where were you in judo today? You said you're going to come to jiu-jitsu.
I slept in.
There you go.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Tell us about Bobby. I don't know why. I feel offended.
That's how serious he's about training.
Well,
he
why
doesn't
you
have
offended?
consistency.
Why are you offended?
Because you only talk about the physique.
Yeah, you're not
What
saying
else?
personality. You're like, I was so attracted to his
Yeah,
personality.
you didn't say he was so sweet or he was
He
charming.
was sweet.
He was.
You didn't let me get to that part yet.
But it started with body,
But
though.
it started with of course, it started with the body, and it was, it went on from that. But there was experiences that happened from the time I was 21 up until I was 30. There was things that had happened
Right.
with different guys, right? And so Vegas not being a big gay community, they only had two bars at the time. I think it was.
Vegas doesn't have a gay
Not
community.
at that
Are you
time. Not during that time. We're talking the
time.
90s. We're talking the early
Yeah.
90s.
How big is Vegas? How many people? Millions?
I don't know what it was in the 90s, but
Because the best place for gay
San
people to
Francisco.
have would be probably LA,
Los Angeles
and New York.
San Francisco,
San
right.
Fran. Those three places.
Yeah.
But I think
Vegas-
LA and New York the biggest
Vegas
ones.
just started doing their pride parades after I left. They never
Right.
celebrated it, and it was like it was away. The bars, I mean, they were away from, the casinos, but it was like hidden. It was almost hidden.
Yeah. Because it's still like Vegas, still Christianity and all that stuff.
No, it's very
no?
Mormon.
Christianity
It's
with
just
all
not
that gambling?
big. It's just not a big gay. It's not a big gay
Just not a
community.
big gay community.
There's not a gay and lesbian center. There's not.
Right,
it's
right,
just
right.
not. It's not. It's gambling. That's what it is.
I have a question that comes from a set from Louis C.K. Louis C.K. is one of my favorite comedians.
Yeah,
And in one of his set, it was like, because people used to say being gay was wrong. That was something he used to say. People used to say. And he made this connection. It was like, wasn't it for gay people a little bit better when it was wrong? Because it added a little bit like, oh my God, I'm
More
doing something so
excitement.
fucked up right now. And he has this routine when he's fucking a dude and it's like, oh my God, I'm breaking my mother's heart. And he's getting even harder doing, I could get arrested for this. Oh, yes.
Can you imagine the Middle East, like when you do that? Oh, I can get stoned to death. I can just...
No, but like... because
extreme games.
Because it's true, and you see this, for example, with drugs, with marijuana. For many people, marijuana was much more interesting when it was illegal because it was illegal, and now it's like whatever. So
Forbidden fruit.
So it took you from 21 when you had your first kiss, your first makeout session, till when you were 30 to say, okay,
Session.
Well, yeah. I mean,
so
by that time,
during these 9 years, was years of exploration? You didn't come out before because you didn't want to, it was nobody else's business, or because it was like a little bit more interesting, the fact that it was undercover?
Well, I was putting myself through university. So let's go back. So when I left the house, I was 18. I left on my 18th birthday. My mother kicked me out of the house when I was 18.
Can you elaborate? Why did she kick you out?
So my mother also dealt with mental illness, right? So you just never knew what you were going to get with her. It was a blessing because the darkness that my sister and I lived through with my mother was deep, right? So that particular summer before I graduated from high school when I was 17. I had to wait till August to leave the house. My car broke down. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't work out. I was on the swim team. I couldn't go anywhere. That summer was hell because I couldn't go anywhere, and I had to deal with my mother every day.
That's you 18.
This is me at 17,
17.
about to turn 18.
And that's like the worst age ever when you finally want to be like independent and all
not
that
having any support, not knowing if I was going to university, not knowing what I was doing. My mother was just every day knocking me down to the point to where I thought, okay, maybe I should end this. I'm getting kind of suicidal at this time. So 18 happens. I get kicked out of the house. Blessing. I go to live with my sister, and it was the best. But from that point on, that's when the vibes started to happen, right? But I got caught up in going to school and putting myself through school that I didn't have time to date, right? That was always my excuse. Was like, I don't have time for girlfriends. I'm in the books. Like I got to get this paper. I got to get this degree. So I always used that as an excuse for not dating girls and all that stuff. Now, when I graduate, it took me 8 years to get my degree. That's when the questions of people were like, well, now that you're done with school,
what's the excuse now?
What's the excuse now?
Did you have a sister had some inkling, or she kind of knew what's going on?
I don't know. I mean, it's funny. When I came out, she was the first person that I came out to. And I thought that she would have known. And she was surprised. My sister was very dramatic. She was so dramatic when it came to everything. I mean, I said, Bree, you and I, we couldn't go outside and play. We would put on roller skates, and we would put on like skirts and act like we were in the Olympics, and go in the garage and act like we were doing Olympic skating. I said, and I loved it. You know what I mean? Like, come on. You know what I mean? I loved it. It was great.
Well, the thing is, I did love to dress up as well. I used to wear dresses and everything. My sister dressed me up, and I had fun with it.
But that's the thing. Like, for example, you have a strong feminine side.
Yeah. You know, all of us we have. And I actually, when I lived in Vancouver, and
that's why, and this is a total misconception, but many people ask you, so are you straight? Are you gay? But it doesn't mean anything. And
No. When I lived in Vancouver, I had many gay friends, and one of the guys who was gay, he was so straight. I would never be like the way he acted. He was 10 times more straight than I ever could be. But that's. Yeah.
And I got that from people too growing up. People are like, are you gay? Are you really? Like, yeah. Because people see the stereotypes of gay people on TV again, what gay people do. Yeah. And me growing up around brothers who were my brothers, I acted the way I act. I don't act any different. This is just who I am. I just like dick. That's it. I mean, you know.
There's people who are vegan.
Cheers for dick.
Everything has his own tastes. Yeah. I like.
But I had to tell that story when I turned 30. I had already done some things. I had already done some things in New York. I was a go-go boy. I was, you know.
Wait. That's where me and String connect.
Go-go boy. What do you mean specifically?
So you dance on a box and you dance for money.
Oh, okay.
That's what I did.
You tell me every day.
Yeah. So I did. I did.
No one knows who listen podcasts. They don't know that.
And it was great. You know, it was good money. It was a good time. And I did that. I end up in LA, and I'm dating this guy who's taking care of me at the time. And I turned 30. And the two guys who taught me how to do spinning, right, my two, Doug and Cheo, we would have conversations. And you know, Doug would always say, you know, well, when you're ready to come out, you know, you're ready. And then Cheo would say, they know already. Just come out, you know.
Were they straight or?
They're a gay couple.
Okay. Right. So they knew what you went through.
They knew already, yeah. But, you know, like I said, I told my sister, she was the first one. And, of course, she was like, oh, my God. She made it about her. And I was like, Brie, this is not
always.
It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about me. I'm sharing this with you. The rest of the people that I told, I came out on Mother's Day. Day, and I got these cards. I remember, I never forget, and I wrote, Happy Mother's Day. By the way, I'm gay. Exactly. Really? By the way, I'm gay.
I love it.
And the response was so great. They were like, we were waiting. We've been waiting this whole time.
Right.
We were waiting.
So you didn't play straight that well as you thought you did.
With your sister.
People just kind of knew. I mean, I'm 30 years old. I'm not dating anybody.
But also people always like to be right. So if it would have come out saying, "Oh, now I'm gonna get a wife," people would say, "Yeah, it was time. I knew it." You know, people always know it.
And it was easy because I didn't have to come out to my parents. Of course, I hadn't spoken to my father. My sister told my parents, which I was very upset about because it was my thing.
Yeah, that is.
But
Bree, come on now.
Yeah, she just that's this.
You're named after a cheese, and that says everything.
Come back to Mike. Come back to Mike.
But rest in peace with her, because my sister passed away, so she's no longer with us. But at the time, she was always over the top. Anyway, Go
Yeah.
back to who? Go back
And
to.
now just come closer to the mic.
Oh, it's the mic. Yes. So, but it was it lifted so much weight off of my shoulders when I did finally come out, because it's a part of me.
Yeah,
it's a part of
100%.
you,
Fuck yeah.
and I'm holding.
Fuck yeah, crazy.
I'm holding on to a secret. I can't hold on to this secret anymore.
Because that's the thing. It only hurts you holding on into this secret.
Exactly.
And it's one of the things where, like, when straight people, like, especially I'm from a tiny country in Eastern Europe where, there's no gay people. Of course they are, but they have to hide and because of the society and all that stuff. And it's just like, I sometimes want to tell to my straight friends and who disregard, homosexuality. And it's like, how would you feel that you're not allowed to say that you like that girl? How you feel you're not allowed to hold your girlfriend's hand on the street and make out on the street? How would you feel that people would be doing all this shit to you? And like, I don't understand how people don't understand. Because it's like, this is part of me, and this is something what I can't change. This is just the way I am. And one of the craziest things I had, one of my friends from Latvia who has like 2 master degrees, very smart person, and we started talking about the gay situation. I said, I worked in gay clubs. And he's like, how could you do that? That's crazy. Like, so what? They're just people. They just have different orientation in sexuality. And then I said, like, what are you going to do when your daughter or your son is going to say, Daddy, I'm gay? And his response, and I was shocked, there are special schools and special places to send them. Oh. I was like, you fucking kidding me.
I know a few people that were sent to special school. That's crazy.
Jeez.
But what is interesting for me is that I love history. So basically all the stigma around gay people comes from religion. That's it. Christianity and Muslim.
Yeah.
Because in the old days, the ancient Greek, the ancient Roman were all bisexual.
Egyptians.
They're all bisexual. They're all gay. Alexander the Great, which was one of the greatest conquerors in the world, he was gay as fuck. And there was not a problem. And so and then the religion came in, and they were like, no, from now on, this is considered wrong.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me because the human race evolved, and in many aspects, even though we need to do still a lot, we are evolving. Like, for example, even with racism. Racism right now is super bad. It's not as bad as it used to be. I don't think we're progressing fast enough with racism, but there is a tiny little bit of progress that we're still doing from, for example, the time where your grandparents were alive.
Yeah.
And
very little, though.
Yeah, it's not progressing as fast as it should. Not at all. But with the homosexuality, it went from being completely okay to being completely wrong. And now, finally, after thousands of years, we're turning around again and saying there's nothing wrong about it. And we're back. Now, you told us that one of the key motivator, one of these voices, some of these voices that you were hearing, were the whispers that were telling you, you know what, it's time to go. You cannot stay. It's time to change your life. And you did. And it's amazing because, at least in my life, in my personal experience, when you call it a gut feeling, you call it a whisper, I call it the signs. When I don't follow the signs, I always get fucked. But one of these things was that 2 of your best friends died at age 44, right? And you told us when the cameras were off
record,
the reason why they died, and I feel is very interesting and important to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was when Doug died. That was the hard. Like, so I'm in New York for 2 years. I remember sitting at a cafe, knowing that I was going to be leaving New York at some point. Something was drawing me to LA, right? I go to LA, ended up going to LA, meet Doug and Cheo, who were teaching this spin class at the studio. 4 years later, I'm 30 at the time, so 4 years later, they split. Doug's not going down a good direction in life. He's partying, he's doing things that he shouldn't be doing, ends up dying of AIDS. which is hard because in 2007, no one was dying of AIDS. There's medication, but the two of them had that, that thing where the medication changes your body, you get the stomach, and da. So they never took the medication
because of that.
Oh wow!
They were handsome. They were very.
Are you serious? They would rather say, "I would rather die or risk dying."
Well, you cannot take the medication. You just got to make sure that your immune system is on point. And
that's what they were trying to do.
Some people don't take it because it had the side effects of the hump on the neck, the stomach bloating. Yeah.
But they were like, we're so fit. We take care of ourselves so much.
It just depends on the person. But they were fit athletes before that. I don't think that they would have gotten that. But you just never know.
Right. So and they were actually concerned about that, and that's why they were not taking medications. That is crazy.
So Doug ends up getting sick. He had just turned 44 years old. And
that's not half of your life.
Not going down the right path. He has an amazing story. I mean, he lost both of his parents. He lost his sister. He had no one in his life, right? He was filming a TV show called Workout on Bravo.
Oh, right.
So he was doing some good things, but he also wasn't happy, And he was,
Yeah, it's always many times happen on the outside. Everything is great.
The partying caught up to him because a lot of gay guys, they get caught up in the partying scene, and they're not having protected sex, and there you go. To see this man who was so fit, and then go to the hospital. I remember the day I heard that he was in the hospital, but the day he passed away, I walked to Cedars-Sinai, and I go up to the room, and it wasn't even the same person.
Fuck.
It wasn't the same person. He had just died.
Wow.
But that was like a turning point for me. I remember going home. I did my first AIDS life cycle in his memory, and that's an amazing community. It's a 7-day ride from San Francisco to LA, all gay community. You can be straight and do the ride too, but you raise money for this cause.
Yeah.
You go through towns. You camp at night. It's like summer camp. It's the best thing, 7 days. And then you end at the end of the ride, you end in LA. And you cross the thing, and there's crowds of people cheering, and you're crying and cheering. I get chills thinking about it. I've done it like 7 times. And then 4 years later, Cheo passed away. He had complications with HIV, as you know, can attack the kidneys. So he was on dialysis. He had been on dialysis for a while, and he passed away at 44. I carry his ashes on the AIDS life cycle. I carried his ashes, and then at the end of they have a candlelight vigil. I dumped his ashes at the ocean. We always wanted to do the ride together, so we did the ride together. But he was just ashes. Sweet. He was a lot of ashes. I was like, what? The guy was like, "What's in your bag?" I was like, "That's Cheo." Just be careful. That's Cheo. It was just I've had an amazing story, and I always feel like the two of them are with me because I went to LA, did spinning, didn't think I was going to be an instructor. Doug told me I'd be an instructor. I'd be an amazing instructor. That happened, and I look out sometimes. I might see a bird or something because Doug liked birds. Like this morning, I'm sitting out there, and I'm like, okay, that's Doug checking in on me, or that's Cheo checking in on me. You know what I mean? They're always with me.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And then also they helped you with coming out and they were supporting you.
They did. They were just saying that it was okay. I never had anybody tell me that it was okay.
Wow.
This is okay. Like it's
Doug
was always 100%. Like, when you're ready, because Cheo was like, just do it. He's
already.
He's Venezuelan, so he's like, just do it. They know, mijo, they know.
Just build it, and then they will come. I
was like, okay.
And
now, do you have a partner? Are you single? Are you seeing somebody?
Single.
Are you grinding? Are you Tindering?
No, because Grindr, like I said, Grindr disappeared. All the apps and,
Wait a minute. Here, they're not allowed or something?
Yeah.
They're not allowed.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's not. Oh, shit.
Yeah, but
so what do you use?
Tinder is allowed.
Well,
Tinder.
You know what? I had it when I got here, and then it just disappeared.
So, but with Tinder, wouldn't they take the male, like the gay side away then because of Indonesia?
I have no idea. I never tried.
So do they have that?
I never tried.
You don't know
Tinder that way. But what I know is that on Tinder, at least in the male looking for female section, there are gay guys.
Yeah, I've seen many dudes when I'm scrolling through. Oh no, I'm not. But I heard about it. Yeah.
My friend told me.
My friend told me.
No, I mean it's been, it's one of those things. It's
So,
been good to really
String is looking.
sit still. I'm not even looking to be
Look
honest.
at this handsome
I'm
man.
trying to pimp you out.
It's nice of you to do that, but to be honest, I'm kind of like I'm okay with
It's gonna happen.
just-
gonna happen, man. It's like-
yeah, when it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
All right,
Listen,
so
I'm 48
String
right now.
now, we didn't touch upon this. I'm just gonna say briefly. Used to be a comedian. He performed in some of the biggest comedy stores across the U.S. And now that he's back in Bali, he decided to start again with comedy. With, of course, I'm talking about our comedy, the Bali Comedy Club. So, if you want to meet
Come to Deus.
a nice, sexy chocolate man,
Fridays.